Don't you think I could get to do two with you though? I could do one afterwards as well, innit? And we're brethren like that. You get rich and switch. Yeah.
No money, fam. He said.
Listen, October Red here with Dean Whyte. Can we believe it's 7 years later? I've been reminiscing on the jumping in the ring, the hitting after the bell. How have we grown since then, Dean?
Come on, man. We've evolved since then as men, as sportsmen, as athletes. And financially, we've all grown in some capacity, some way. You know what I mean? So, obviously, I'm a manager, promoter. These guys have become elite. What's happening, my man? These guys have become elite boxers. You know, commanding crazy sums of money for each fight. You know what I mean? So everyone's grown. Everyone, you know, we're getting older. But there's evolution in life as you know as you get on. So yeah, I think this fight was inevitable from a long time ago. Maybe people would have thought this would have happened a little bit prior. But if you look at the table in terms of obviously Joshua's lost twice to Usyk recently, and then Dillian's obviously lost to Povetkin, then lost to Fury, but on the momentum and coming back. The trajectory was always going to lead here. And when you look at the table to see who's available to fight, there's not a lot of people. Tyson Fury is going to fight Ngannou, and you know, Daniel Dubois fighting Usyk. So all the top guys are all taken. So I mean, this is the best thing. I mean, the rivalry, the animosity between these two is real. So I guess they don't really need to sell a fight. Hopefully today we see some respect, but we're going to find out what mood Dillian comes in there and then what mood AJ comes in, because I think that's going to determine, you know, how the press conference plays out. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely going to be interesting, but I think we're in for a great fight. It's going to be a cracking fight while it lasts. I believe there'll probably be a stoppage somewhere in this fight. Two heavyweights banging out. What else can we expect?
Have you spoke to like Dillian and kind of like what's his vibe for this fight? Because we saw that there was some rumblings, and then we saw him make a couple of appearances on TalkSport, which seemed to get the ball rolling. Speaking to Dillian, what's his kind of like his mindset going into this?
I think that's exactly what got the ball rolling. I think him calling their bluff and doing what he done, going on TalkSport and saying, look, I'll accept whatever offer you guys have got on the table. Listen, I'm not here to bullshit and play silly games. That's happening, my man, and win silly rewards, you know what I'm saying? So it's just one of them. So he's now taken whatever they were offering, and now we've got the ball rolling. Obviously, they took out the rematch clause, what was in there, but now we've got this going. It's a great fight for London, the history, the culture of where these guys come from. You know, coming from being, you know, guys just. Yeah, I mean, just in itself, just saying, look, these guys came from nothing to become something. Joshua, not single-handedly, but brought boxing back because of the machine that was behind him. Dillian, on the other hand, is the rough guy that was on the outside that made a big wave by himself by making noise and living up to his talk. Sometimes, obviously, coming short, but then always coming back, rallying like the inferno. You know, because every time he's been stopped or he's lost, he's always come back, and he's come back ferocious and better and stronger. So, you know, we expect Dillian to have that passion and desire inside of himself to want to come and seek revenge, because that's all he's talked about, redemption. You know what I mean? Is it redemption or repeat? Or, you know what I mean? So we've got to see what actually occurs in this fight. We seem to have a what's it called, a eavesdropper in our monks. No, joking. He's gone. But I mean, like, look, I mean, it's a great fight for boxing fans. Some of them are talking about, we want this, but they got to understand, like I explained earlier, the business side of it, who is available to fight, who is a pay-per-view fight, who is a fight that can garner more attention. I think if we'd done this fight a little bit earlier, it could have been a stadium fight. You know what I mean? But now that obviously both guys have kind of had a few losses and maybe things have gone a bit topsy-turvy for them, you know, it's in the O2, because a few years ago people were talking about Cardiff Stadium, etc. And you know, and on top of that, we must look at the table where people are financially, and you got to understand we're in a situation in the world where people are finding it hard to live and survive and pay their bills. So you know wanting to do big stadium fights, and so we got to think about that. And everyone wanting to be true fans will come and support if they can, you know, feasibly do so. And it's understandable. Even people are crying about the hiking pay-per-view numbers, but there's inflation in the world in general, in total. So it's only right that there's probably inflation in the cost of a pay-per-view. Because if you go to your market, your loaf of bread, your butter, your milk, all the prices have gone up. So just in general, things are going to be like that in life. Petrol, buying cars, buying clothes, going on a plane, you know what I mean? So it's just what it is. But look, I mean, this is a sport and this is driven by fans. So let's see what happens. But I mean, for a fan, is this not a fight you'd want to see?
You know, it's a fight I'd want to see. I just presume that both of them, or at least one of them, would have had a belt, and it would have been a defence, or it would have been a mandatory. That's how I saw it. So the script kind of changed because they're still coming together, but obviously both now with no belt. So that kind of puts a little bit of a tilt on how we thought it could have been.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that one, because we all would have thought maybe Dillian could have won a belt by now, Joshua could have had his belts and so on, and it would have been for a world title. But look, unfortunately, we're not in that position today, and we've got to take what you're given. So right now, these guys all continue to do what they need to do to progress themselves back to that level, the elite, the world championship level. I mean, there's great fights for all these boys down the winner. I know some people say, the loser should retire. You know, it's always armchair bandits talking about they should lose. When you're an elite boxer, maybe you might not can compete with the top elite boys as you get older and as your career wants a little when you go down, but there's still great fights for some boys. Obviously, you got Usyk and Fury are the two standouts at the minute. Then you got Wilder, Joshua, Dillian, and Andy, and some of the other guys are all in that framework coming up. And then you got the ones behind them that are coming up who are very adequate professionals, but they haven't brought in, got into that super elite level as yet. You know what I mean? But they're still on the fringe. But they are calling out the heavyweight, the top boys. But they're not going to take you serious because at the business side of the table, you have no value. You know what I mean? So it's just one of them.
One of the things that I was going to say to you is, I listened to kind of like Dillian saying that, if he wins this fight, should he win this fight, it's almost like he's still got his eye on Deontay Wilder. To me, that's a kind of like a risky mindset. Deontay Wilder, to me, seems to be like a thorn in Dillian's side. It's like there's something there, but look, not overlooking AJ, but kind of like already like saying, I want to be the one that goes to Saudi. What are your thoughts on that as a promoter as well?
I mean, look, as a professional, you must want to strive for bigger and better.
Yes.
Obviously, you don't want to look past the opponent that's in front of you, but that is the big prize at the end of this. That he believes maybe if he beats AJ, he will go on to Saudi to go to, and that's not necessarily correct because we don't know if he's got a contract with them. But what we do know is that the Saudis said if he loses, Joshua loses, he's out.
The offer's gone down. Yeah. Not that the fight's off, that the offer's gone down.
It was the fight was pulled. Okay, so the fight was okay. I didn't realize it was that. I thought it was that the fight would be off. So maybe he feels that he will be in a position because he's won, but it's not always technically 1-on-1 met 2. So he should just not look too far ahead and one step at a time and concentrate on getting this fight and getting a win, and that's the best thing I think.
How does he beat Anthony Joshua this version, Dean? You know him better than anybody else. You've trained in gyms together. You've been through life together as such. How does he beat this version of Anthony Joshua? And that's the final question from me.
I don't think I would give his game plans or anything. I don't know his game plan, but what I would say is I think he's got a new coach, Buddy McGirt. I just feel they need to work on distance control. I don't want to go too... use what you need to do, but not be too online. We know Joshua's very upright with how he boxes, so we need to be smart in the distance and where you are. You don't want to be at the end of his jab. What I noticed some people, because remember, if you're at the end of his jab, he's going to throw his right hand. You know what I mean? And jabs win fights. So they got to get the range right and not lean over his front foot too much because, as we know, everyone looks for this uppercut because that's an Achilles heel that they say he's got. And that's only because it's about front foot heavy. He needs to probably be just a little bit more on this back leg here so you're not leaning over to get caught because when you're on your back, you're not easily caught with an uppercut so easy. So there's a lot of things. I believe they're making those kind of adjustments and they're working on that in the camp. So hopefully they'll implement that. And if they do, I feel he goes out there, does what he does, beats the body snatcher, snatches some bodies and tries to break Joshua down, but one step at a time, one round at a time, and don't go over eager. Equally, he could go out there and just make a fight of it and just say fuck it, because we know Joshua's gas tank is a bit shaky if he outlays a little bit too much. He's a big guy, got a lot of muscle, and he does tend to gas a little bit, as we've seen. So, it's an interesting fight, whichever style he chooses to adapt.
Listen, I think we might have to have a part 2, depending on what happens with this press conference. I know you're in demand, but before you go, can you let us know when your next show's on, where it is, and where we can get those tickets from?
So we're out again July the 29th, in about 2.5 weeks, back at the Tolworth. Got a great card, young prospects coming up. It should be on the Black Box Global website, so you could check that out, or you could DM me myself or any of the boxers, and we would like to see you there. Wow.
Hi, and thank you for watching October Red Boxing. Like, subscribe, and tap the bell for notifications. You can also find us on Instagram at October Red Boxing and on Twitter, October Red UK. And remember, at October Red, we stay ready.